Hi, this is Vlog entry 143, and it's about 5 o'clock p.m. CST. I did this a little bit later because I was kind of in the dumps earlier today, and I took a well, not a long nap, it was like an hour and a half or something. I don't know. I just like my battery was just completely drained for whatever reason, and yeah, so I fucked around with Wireshark and T-Shark yesterday. Well, mainly Wireshark, and I kind of just swallowed the pill, and I just decided to use a loopback for my Port 8080 website, which is just it loops with the router to talk to the port in my computer as a website. Yeah, so it basically just sends that's what it's called, loopback. Yeah, so I did that a little bit, and I messed around with just some of the software, and then I found some guy on YouTube that actually talks about this kind of stuff. His name is, what is his name? Man, I've been looking. I don't know, man. I've just been so. I've been spreading myself thin with all this information because I had some issues with NeoVim, LazyVim actually. It's supposed to be a quote-unquote IDE for NeoVim, but I had a lot of issues with it actually, and it's been a while since I've used Lua to write my init.lua configuration file. And so I had to refresh my memory on that, and then I decided to just wipe it and make my own IDE out of it, so I'm going to have that as another project. But at the same time, I'm not going to worry about using this for my other project, which is actually building a website with my brother using Golang, and I've been sort of dabbling with that kind of stuff, but also I'm looking at CSS HTML, and like I said, I am the kind of person to really appreciate the rudimentary building blocks of web design, so I'm looking at CSS and HTML still. But at the same time, I'm looking at NVim, plus Wireshark, plus T-Shark, plus physics, so I'm starting myself out thin. I don't know why. I just like having a bunch of things to bounce around on because I don't like focusing on just one thing. It's I guess, I don't know. I've been tested multiple times for ADHD, but apparently don't have it, even though I think I have ADHD, but I passed the test somehow. I don't know how that happened, honestly, because I actually believe I have some form of ADHD, or my brain, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like they, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I just like having multiple things to focus my brain on because it just branches out a lot, and it wants to. Maybe that's more of a personality thing. I shouldn't be calling it ADHD. I am considered being INTP, even though I don't like personality types too much, and I don't know all of, like, I definitely don't know any deep information. I don't know it deeply, so I don't really like talking about INTP. But I've taken multiple tests on that online, but not an actual professional. So again, I always land on INTPs, and I've looked at all the characteristics of INTPs and whatnot that tend to pretty much categorize them, and I tend to exhibit those characteristics quite accurately. So I think I am one, or maybe I tend to be, I can be INFP-ish too, so that's also another thing. But I think I like using my thinking functions more than my feeling functions. I tend to run away from my feeling functions, and half the time I actually don't really know what's going in the back of my head. Sometimes I don't even know I'm anxious at times, and then somebody has to tell me I'm anxious. Sometimes people even tell me I'm exhibiting certain emotions that I don't even know I'm exhibiting at a given time. So yeah, I like to think I'm more focused on the thinking aspect as opposed to the feeling. Yeah, so I've been focusing on a lot of things, and I began frustrated with NeoVim, and I decided to wipe it because, again, I was reading where's my book? Sort of. I was starting to read the first. I was starting to read the first chapter, and then I was like, I like writing notes, and maybe I should learn how to write notes on NeoVim. And I also want to use LaTeX because I want to. I know you can embed Markdown with it. Maybe I could just embed. It kind of depends. I think I'd rather use Markdown, but I also want to have a live preview. Maybe that's too much, or maybe I'll just use Tmux. I don't really have to be that serious unless I'm. The only time in which I think I would have to be that serious is if I were back in school and I were taking a serious mathematics course. Then I'd probably want to do something like, there's something called Vimtex. Vimtex happens to be a way of compiling LaTeX live while you're editing a text file, and then it actually doing that, and also being able to embed a live previewer. And that live previewer is something you can do by just getting any kind of previewer. Like Zathura is one of them. I like Zathura because it actually has the NVim key binding, so I like it. I like it a lot, actually. I don't know. I guess I happen to be one of those people that likes optimizing everything. I don't know. There's something about optimizing, but also there's a dilemma with that. When you spend so much time optimizing, are you actually getting a net profit out of it, or are you just spending too much time optimizing? You're not actually optimizing in the long run. So it's kind of a dilemma. People tend to joke about that and about but I don't really care because I find it to be fun. So yeah. So anyways, yeah, I got my book, and I was inspired to kind of basically take LazyVim off of my operating system and just decide to go just bare bones NeoVim, and I'm going to build my own configuration file. I'm going to have my own plugins. I'm just going to do everything myself so I can learn Lua again because I don't remember Lua. And Lua is very different compared to all the other ones. It also has when you start functions, it has that end thing. I forgot. I'm sure you probably, it's it doesn't even, I don't know if it has curly braces. I had to look at the syntax more because I've never really programmed in Lua. I just copied and pasted a bunch of code when I first started using NeoVim because I was lazy and I didn't want to actually put my head down and actually learn something deeply. I'm doing a lot of superficial things that doesn't necessarily involve iteration, trial and error, and actually practicing and getting your hands dirty. I just I don't know. I like theory, and also this requires. Of course, there's a lot of theory, but at the same time, if you want to learn a skill set, you had to get your hands dirty. Unfortunately, you had to get your hands dirty, no matter what you're doing. So, yeah, discipline. So, man. Yeah, I'm enjoying this book so far. I got it to the part of Heinrich Hertz, and then Heinrich Hertz is actually the guy who first found. He first discovered electromagnetic waves, and he realized that there were electromagnetic waves because he had some kind of apparatus sensor between the circuit that was emitting a electromagnetic wave to some kind of reflector that was I don't know what kind of material it was. What kind of material was it? I don't have to know all the specifics, but it was like a mirror basically, and it created a standing wave because you can create standing waves as long as you have you just have to make sure that the length is some integer or natural. Just think of it as natural because we don't have to worry about integers. A natural number times the frequency, and that length has to be that frequency. Some scaling, some whole scaling of that frequency, right? I hope people know that. I don't know. I just dude. I really want to get NeoVim. I just want to start from scratch on NeoVim. I don't care if I'm wasting my goddamn time. I think it's fun. I think it's fun. It's just it's a hobby of mine. Yeah. So Heinrich Hertz. Again, like I said, he had an apparatus that somehow they use a circuit, of course, because again, that's Faraday's law, right? Some changing electric field induces an electromagnetic change, and if it's not just an accelerating electric field. Sorry. If the ddt of the ddt squared of the electric field is a constant, then it creates an electromagnetic wave. So he called them Kronchenhauer spirals. Basically, you put these spirals above each other, they can induce a total magnetic field, or what are they called? Induced spirals or something. Yeah. I don't know of all the specifics, but I barely read the first couple of pages. I want to start writing notes in NeoVim, and then I got distracted with that, and yeah, it's been quite a journey for the past day. Even though I got fucking frustrated with this shit because computers can be annoying sometimes, and I happen to have a lot of spots of my knowledge when it comes to Lua, NeoVim, and its overall structure, and how to I know how to implement plugins and whatnot for NeoVim. At least I'd like to think so. Of course, plugins typically, there are two ways you can do it. You can actually embed it within the init.lua, or people like to have it in their own folder, and I don't know why they like having it. And then you can have its own folder, and you can have multiple files pertaining to each plugin. I'd rather have one file with all the plugins in it, because I don't know, because I could just do a search and find it instantly instead of having, I don't know, that just seems like an annoyance. So I'd rather do it that way, and I guess it is nice to have a plugin folder, even though you don't necessarily have to do it. You could just have it all under the init.lua, and then you could do a require, because it requires a include onc, basically. So just copy and paste that code into it. Or you can think of it as like a package in Golang. Yeah, I think again, this is what my brain does. It likes branching out quickly and then creating a bunch of connections in my head, and then that's how I learn, basically. So that's what I'm doing. I'm letting my brain learn the way it wants to learn, as opposed to force myself to learn a different way. People like learn linearly. I like learning more divergently, and that's something that I just really can't combat. It happens to be a natural trend of mine. Yeah. So yeah, I think this book is interesting. It happens to just be, it's all historical. There's no theory in it. It's all words. So it's very light read. You have all the scientists in there, and the reason why I wanted to use LaTeX is because, again, my brain likes making connections. So if I'm writing something down in a history book and I want to use LaTeX to write down an equation that ties into those experiments and whatnot, like Maxwell's equation, like I want to write down Maxwell's equation in my notebook because if you guys don't know what Maxwell's equation is the change of the electric magnetic field with respect to time is epsilon naught times J, which is the what do they call that? The electric field density or something. J is something I forgot. It's another field, and epsilon, and then it's mu naught, which is the permittivity of free space, times dB dt, which is the change of x. It's an x. The change of magnetic field with respect to x. So that's in one dimension. Of course, you'd be using a del operator on it if you're operating within multiple spatial dimensions. If you ever have learned anything in physics. So the del operator is just you can think of it like a point in. You have to think. The del operator is an upside down triangle. It operates on 3 points. Well, it depends on if you're looking at more than one dimension, it happens to be operating on 3D space. And 3D space, you have to choose those dimensions to then see the instantaneous rate of change on those 3 points. Of course, as you're looking at 3D space and you're not looking at one dimension, I don't know why they do it like that. I don't know why they came up with that convention, but it's a compact way of thinking of it, I guess. Everybody knows, anybody that's basically done any kind of calculus would know what that is. I would hope so. So I'm enjoying this book. Since I'm going to have this for a couple months, it's only like 300 pages, I'm going to be focusing on NeoVim, and I'm going to make sure my configuration is nice, and I'm going to be working on that in tandem with Golang as well, and I'm going to make sure to have VS Code downloaded because, again, I want a ready-made IDE that I can use to build my website. So so I wrote a lot of notes, I think, and I like starting from the ground up to then have a very solid understanding of how all this stuff ties together. I don't like talking. I really don't like talking superficially about most things. Honestly, I don't like to pretend. Because I don't know. There are a lot of phonies out there who like to actually believe that they think that they know things, other than just. But most people that I talk to seem to just spit out information and say that they know what it is, and I don't want to be one of those people. I don't want to be a parrot. So again, I was just looking at the general structure of NeoVim and whatnot, and it seems pretty. It's simple. It's simple. Simple for in comparison to other stuff, of course. Again, I'm not like a. I had to I was getting just very impatient with all this stuff, so I had to just step back a little bit, take a short nap, not think about for a little bit, go to the grocery store and just just breathe for a little bit, because again, computers can be frustrating at times. Even though you expect computers to be predictable, there's some times in which you may not understand everything about that given system, and stuff happens like that quite frequently in computer science because there are a lot of complicated systems. I think NeoVim is not necessarily a complicated system. LazyVim is, because it's a full IDE. It contains a bunch of plugins, and it contains a telescope, which is like a fuzzy finder, which you can. It doesn't use regex. I think it's like some really fast version of regex, which basically uses a bunch of symbol inputs to then find something really fast. I don't know how the algorithm works. I don't know how all that works. I'm assuming it's called telescope because it's very precise and it can find things really quickly. And they have fuzzy finders. I don't know what fuzzy finders are either, but when I think of a fuzzy finder, I can imagine like a file system structure, and you can think of files that you're looking for, multiple files kind of like spattered in between. So maybe that's why they call it fuzzy. And you think of like something fuzzy, you think of like little lines poking out. That's why it's fuzzy, right? Like a fuzzy sphere. If you're thinking about like, I don't know, I was thinking about like a fuzzy sphere in like that graphic system. I forgot what it was called. I don't know. I'm not talking about GIMP. There's another one that's really good. I don't like graphic stuff. I don't like graphic stuff. I don't know why people like that stuff. Oh yeah, I guess I was like, I wanted to, I guess I want to have, again, I like building an intuitional basis, and I think I understand electricity to an extent. I can spit out equations from my head, but again, I don't like parroting. I want to have an intuitional basis, and mechanics is a very intuitive structure to use, so maybe I should be looking at the more mechanical analogies to electricity to then just secure my foundation of, because it's easy to go through these equations and say that you know it even though you don't really know it, you know what I mean? Electricity is definitely one of them. It's very unintuitive. Very unintuitive. If you really think about it, it's like well, I mean, like, okay, you can think of like ground and whatnot, right? You know, when you have a circuit, right, and then you have one ground, and then there happens to be a lower voltage, right, that the electricity wants to go to. It will, like, if there's a path that it can go to, it'll go down that path as opposed to the other path through each ground. That ground, and that's a new ground, is a lower voltage. That's why they call it ground, because it's the minimum voltage that it's trying to reach. And that's like what is like, and that's why, you know, you have what Schrodinger, who he literally, did he have a book on do electrons sync, or was that just an interview about him just talking about it for an hour? He was actually pondering about electrons, and he was asking about, I was like, do electrons sync? Because it seems like they do. Because this electricity shit is like, what the hell's going on over here? I don't know, I just think it's kind of funny. And that's why I avoid electricity, because again, it's like one of those things that just, you can't think of it intuitively. It's like quantum mechanics, right? It just happens to be, the experimentation just happens to be that, right? It's like, this is what we found through empirical data. It's like, this is what it is. And people are like, oh shit, okay, well, I guess, I don't know. I'm really bad at just like swallowing a pill and being like, okay. So I like to read deeply about those things and pondering about it philosophically, as opposed to, I'm not that pragmatic. I really don't think I'm that pragmatic, unfortunately. I try to be pragmatic at times, and most of the time I end out just studying theory and doing shit like playing around with NeoVim and other random shit that doesn't necessarily, I wouldn't say that it doesn't really give, you get progress out of it. It's just a different kind of progress that most people don't really think about. There is still progress. It's just hard to see at times. Maybe that's a really bad excuse. I don't know. Yeah. I'm talking kind of loud. I'm getting excited. It's already 5:12, so yeah. Most people fall asleep at around 8 or 9, I think, in the city. 8 or 9. In the neighborhood I went in Williamsburg, Virginia, was around 7, and most people had their lights off at around 7. But that was also because it was a rich neighborhood, and it was a bunch of old people. So old people usually go to sleep earlier because they need more sleep, and they have to get up early. So I don't know. I don't know. I've been absorbing. Not even that. I've been looking at just so many things. It's just too much. It's just too much. But I enjoy this a lot, and I know it's not really considered to be. You know, I don't know why I'm trying to justify this. I'm just gonna enjoy myself. I don't care what anybody thinks, honestly. But I did find a playlist on YouTube pertaining to, again, Vim and LaTeX, and this guy who's, I think he's like a graduate student in Oxford, and he has like a very cool setup, so I'm probably going to look at that, and he has like a whole GitHub page. It's a really long article, but I think it would be worthwhile to kind of read into that more as opposed to copying and pasting his configuration. So I just I want to understand it as opposed to just doing that. It's easy to do that. That's the easy way to do things, and I don't like easy, apparently. I like making life hard for myself. So yeah, I mean, I guess my next, I do these videos because I know if I didn't do them, I don't even know where I'd be. I'd probably be in like Croatia or something. I don't fucking know, man. I don't fucking know. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, I swear. Where's Croatia at? I don't know. I just said that because that was the first thing that popped into my head. Oh, it's an actual. Oh, it's a country in probably, yeah, close to Europe. Oh, it's just like northeast of Italy. Cool. Or just east of Italy. It's not even northeast. Um. Yeah, quite a bit to do. Oh, I actually had a little. I wrote a little note to myself. I was like, okay, shit. It was like, you're going everywhere again. So by today, you're going to at least configure Vimtex properly. And I was like, okay, I can do that. I mean, like, I just, honestly, that part is not hard. I just have to get the Vimtex plugin for that. I mean, that's easy to do. And then you just have to, there's like a global option where you set or it has its own specific option where you can set the light preview or to Zathura and RDM Zathura and all that. So I'm kind of procrastinating at this point. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna like try to learn more Lua. It's another language I have to learn apparently because I like learning languages. Computer languages are fun to learn. I don't know. I was just writing a bunch of stuff and I wanted to structure in my head, so I wrote a mind map of the general structure of NeoVim, so I don't have to like think about it all the time and forget. Yeah, and then I just wrote a bunch of other stuff. Also, the compiler is called the backend compiler for the text I'm talking about is called Latex MK, and MK stands for make, probably. Kind of like MK, like mkdir, which is make directory. And I don't, like, again, it was, oh yeah, that was the issue that was going on actually. When I was using, when I did a live compilation while I was editing a latex file, it outputted a markdown, FLS, and a couple of other stuff, and it also had like a latex MK something, and a log as well, but it did not output a CLS, and apparently Zathura was looking for that, and it couldn't find CLS. So that was interesting. I was like, I don't know why it's not out, but I don't even know what CLS is, so I guess I had to figure that out. Or, maybe that was like I don't know, I really don't think it was just an issue within LazyVim, it's an issue within I'm not going to say anything until I recreated my own personalized ID. What do people call that? PD, is personal development environment as opposed to integrated development environment. Yeah, so I'm gonna have my own PD, guys. That's gonna be so fun to make. I'm gonna be using NVim. I love NeoVim, man. It's so fun. I used to use Vim too, and I use Tmux as well as my session management application for general command line stuff and whatnot. You can open up. I'm not sure if you ever heard of Tmux, but it's a terminal multiplexer, and multiplexer is just basically creating a lot of instances of the same thing. So you have like the standard shell is usually Bash, I think, and what is it? Bash stands for Born Again Shell, which I don't know who created it. Is probably back in like Bell Labs or something, because they've been using it for a while. Like Z Shell is another one. It's Z Shell, ZSH is pretty big in Mac and whatnot. So I think people like that quite a bit. Yes, but I'm using Born Again Shell. I like Bash quite a bit. I don't think I'm going to be changing that anytime soon, to be honest with you. And I know there are other terminal stuff. People like using Fish, but I never had a good reason for it. And that seems to be like the trend nowadays. It's like there's so many software trends. It's crazy to keep up with nowadays. It's crazy. I don't know how people do it. I just want something simple. So I'm going to have my own personalized development environment. And, I probably want like a language server provider, which basically helps out with highlighting and having different ways in which you can, there's like live error warnings about like how you're typing and whatnot, so you see it all on your screen, kind of like on VS Code they have that too. But I don't know. I'm probably gonna have basically all the LSPs I need, which is gonna be Lua, probably Python. I'm gonna have Golang, of course, and I'm probably gonna have C and C++. So C and C++ usually uses Clang. I usually use Clang for my LSP. Python tends to be PyNVim. PyNVim, basically, that's an LSP too. I don't know what Golang uses for a LSP, and I actually don't know what Lua uses, so I'd have to look into that. And yeah, so I mean, like, I have a lot of things I need to do. I'm probably gonna start with simple things involving the global options that you can use for NeoVim, and then I'm probably gonna look at plugins. After I'm done looking at the plugins that I need, I'm gonna look at the LSPs, and then I'll look at more complicated things like Telescope and fuzzy finders, and what am I missing? I think those are the essentials. You know, if you want something it's not really an IDE, but you know, it's close enough to it, and I think that's all I'll do until I change my mind. Maybe I guess there are different color schemes and whatnot. So I like personalization when it comes to this kind of stuff, and it can be seen as a big time sink, but I don't really care, to be honest with you. Yeah, so I'm still gonna mess around with Wireshark and T-Shark and all that. It's cool. It's really nice, and there are a lot of filters for it. You can filter out ports through. You have like a little bar at the top through that you can use just logical conditions with the equals sign, like if, or maybe you can say port equals like 8080, and it'll filter out only for port 8080 for your system, which is nice. And there are a lot of other stuff that I haven't messed with, but I found a guy that's really into Wireshark and T-Shark. And another cool thing I actually figured out recently is that Wireshark actually is full open source. It's free, and they're not planning on making it proprietary. That was a big word. I haven't used that word in ages, but it was there. I just didn't know how to say it with my mouth. Yeah, so I'm going to be messing around with that for a while, and add emotions. What the hell is this? Oh, oh right, yeah, I was writing notes. There's like this other guy named, what's his name? Keith Rick, I think, and he's really big into like just creating an ideal life and whatnot. And I've been taking notes on like visualizing things. I know people like vision boards and all that, but I'd rather just visualize in my own head and kind of put myself in that state. I have done it a little bit differently. There are a lot of ways in which you can think of like creating your own life. I created my own life by envisioning the person that I had to be there, and then becoming that person. It's the same thing that he's talking about, but he's saying it in a more indirect way. I personally think just simplifying it and just saying, what do I have to be to create that reality? And that's basically what I did. And it helped out quite a bit, and it's felt effortless, for me at least, because I used a very simplistic framework to then simplify it. It is complicated, but by like honing in on the simplicity of its building blocks, you can kind of just put the pieces together, as opposed to like looking at the superficial level and kind of like getting too worried about all of its complexities. So I don't know, that's how I think about things. Yeah, his name is I don't want to disrespect him. I've subscribed to him. So what's his name? I think it's like Minnow Pond Taro. I've been looking at Taro, and he's really fun to listen to at times. And yeah, Minnow Pond Taro. But where's he at? They keep changing the user interface for YouTube. Where is he? He hasn't posted anything on his other channel in a long time. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, whatever. I think it's Keith Rich or something like that. Oh wait, no, I think he has it on here. One sec. There's an email that has his name on it, I think. Oh, Chris Reck. Sorry, Chris Reck. My bad. His name is Chris Reck. Yeah, he seems like an interesting guy. Yeah, so I've been looking at that, and yeah, I called AVI again. They didn't answer, so I'm gonna call my mom because I think that maybe they actually do have my mom's number associated with my account. Maybe it was all under her or something because I used to go there when I was younger. So I had to check that. I have to talk to her tomorrow probably. Oh, also I have to get some kind of insulator for my window because my windows are pretty big. I was thinking about getting like this plastic film, but I'm not sure. Maybe I should probably get something that's. I'm not sure how effective this plastic film is, and if it'll actually work with something like Chicago, where it's like -30 at times. Like I'm not sure. Maybe I'll have to get something that's not transparent, it's reflective, like extremely reflective material that can be sealed and actually maybe have some kind of vacuum in between the window and the material that's blocking it off. So I had to look. I did research on that too. So I had to do some shopping with that. That's another thing I have to do. I think that's pretty much it. I don't know. I think I've been talking for a while at this point. Yeah, it's been 30 minutes already. I tend to go off because like every day, every goddamn day, my brain's exploding. It's like just wants to just I don't know what that means, but yeah, it wants to be creative. It wants to like just do things without necessarily being constrained by a structure, right? This is my way of not being constrained by a structure, and it makes me fulfilled and happy. That's what I'm looking for in life. And I'm going in a general direction in which I'll be able to utilize my strengths eventually, and potentially being able to monetize it. Yeah. So I have a lot of things. I'm not sure if I'll be doing a lot tonight, but maybe I'll chill out and learn some Lua, mess around with like plugins, and I'll probably get Vimtex again. And I have my compiler, like I said, and I also have to. I have everything basically, so I'm gonna get the plugin, just see how it goes again, and see if I get the same error. And if I do, then I'm just gonna have to figure out how to either make Zathura look for that FLS file, or make the compiler spit out ACLS as opposed to somehow. So I have to look into that. Maybe there's probably a way to there's probably configuration for it. I was just too lazy and I didn't bother looking. Just after that, I was done. I've lost my patience, and I felt like taking a break from using the computer. So that helped out. That helped out quite a bit. I get to be able to write notes and talk about my interests, and yeah. Oh, and I found a website. I found an interesting website that I'm going to probably use as a resource, but I'm not going to tell you guys what it is. Actually, that's bad. It's called starterstory.com. It's basically a compilation of different starter stories. I feel like that's actually a good idea, is being able to just, I don't know, my brain likes consuming a lot of information. So if I read a bunch of disparate information, maybe my brain can come up with some general pattern to then create something that is generally useful and profitable within the world. To then, through a software lens perspective, possibly, since I'm kind of learning about all this stuff, might as well just use that as a potential resource to then see some kind of general pattern that will create something profitable for me and the world. I want it to be both ways. I want to be bi-directional. Obviously, it would be if it's profitable to me, that's not necessarily true, because I don't like to say this, but consumers can be kind of dull. So, I mean, of course, it's not necessarily it's not necessarily the case. That's why I'm saying it has been profitable for my side as well. Seeing it actually making a difference from what I think would be good for the world, as opposed to just kind of falling into the trap of general maximization of profit. I'm not looking to maximize profit. So, yeah, anyways, I think that's pretty much it. I don't really have anything else to talk about. So I have a lot of things to research, as usual. Makes me happy. And yeah, so hope you guys have a wonderful evening or day or whatever. Yeah, bye.